So today, my name is Aiden Goodwin, and I will be talking about Roman epic poetry. So we'll be going over what it is, who wrote it, and why it became such an important part of Roman culture. I chose Roman epic poetry as my final topic, just because it really interested me, and it really shows in today's society through our entertainment and our lives how the epic poetry we see in Rome affects us today in our entertainment and stuff like that. So it's something that interested me greatly. So got a couple excerpts and things that we're going to go over, and yeah. So for slide 2, what is epic poetry? Epic poetry is a long narrative poem that tells a story of a hero and major events. It often includes gods and adventures and battles. They're meant to inspire, teach, and show the value of Roman society. So my 3 key main points I wanted to hit here was they're long narrative poems. That's what an epic poetry is. They focus on heroes and major events. And they include gods and adventure and battles. See a lot of adventures and battles. You'll see a lot of supernatural forces and just myths and mythology that kind of play a role into the Roman epic poetry that we see. And then for slide 3, Roman epic poetry. So Roman epic poetry grew out of the earlier Greek tradition, especially the works of Homer, such as the Odyssey. The Romans wrote their epics in Latin. They used the stories to highlight Roman values like duty, loyalty, and the idea that fate guides your future. Epics helped create a shared sense of Roman identity. It was something that everybody kind of gathered around. No matter who you were, it was kind of epic poetry was very big in Roman society, and it kind of united them all, which I think is very cool. And it's kind of what we see today with our entertainment industry today, as it kind of unites us through kind of what we enjoy and who we are. And then for slide number 4, main Roman epic poets. So there are 3 that I chose: Virgil, Ovid, and Lucan. The 3 major poets contributed to Roman epic literature. First, it is Virgil. He wrote the Aeneid, the most famous Roman epic. Next is Ovid. He's the author of Metamorphosis, which tells many mythological stories. So we kind of see that today. He kind of inspired a lot of mythological stories that we see in today's society. And finally, Lucan. He wrote the Pharsalia. It's a Roman epic poem about Rome's civil war. And each poet took the epic in a different direction. That's kind of why I wanted to highlight these 3, because they kind of went different ways. They're not too similar in how they approached it. Then for slide number 5, we have Virgil's Aeneid. The Virgil's Aeneid tells the story of Aeneas, a Trojan hero who escapes the fall of Troy and eventually becomes an ancestor of the Roman people. The poem explores duty, destiny, and the cost of building a nation. And so the story of Aeneas, obviously about leaving Troy, and the themes duty, destiny, and sacrifice are, as they called it back then, pietas, which is duty. As you can see, duty was very big in Roman culture, and serving your country, and just kind of, nationality came above all in a lot of aspects, which is very represented in Virgil's story that he tells. Then for my excerpt, arms and the man I sing, who first from the shores of Troy come destined to an exile to Italy and Leviathan coast. Much was he tossed on land and on the deep by force of gods on account of fierce Juno's forgetting anger. So on the first line, arms and the man I sing, Virgil tells us this will be both a war of story and about a story about a hero. He describes Aeneas as destined to reach Italy and enters the theme of fate. So, overall, we kind of see heroism and hardship and destiny all tied together. That's why I wanted to choose this story, as it kind of intertwines all the aspects of epic poetry into one story, which is kind of why it's so famous. And that was just a little excerpt that I think kind of represented all of that greatly. Then, why Roman epics matter. Roman epic poetry shaped how Romans saw themselves and their place in the world. These works influenced writers for centuries afterwards, including Dante, Milton, and Shakespeare. The themes like duty, destiny, identity, and transformation all are still common in modern stories and books. So overall, it's influenced later writers and artists, helped shape Roman identity, and it's still studied for themes and myths and storytelling style today. So, we can look at Roman epic poetry and see a lot of parallels to the stories we see today. Not only today, but also in the past. It's kind of like Roman epic poetry was the first storytelling, not necessarily, but kind of a storytelling that we kind of built off of as a society and as a world, and it just kind of culminates. Slide 8, conclusion. Roman epic poetry blended myth and history. Virgil and Ovid are central to Western literature, and their stories continue to inspire works today. So in conclusion, Roman epic poetry blended all these things, as I said, like myth and history, and most of all the Roman values into powerful stories. So poets like Virgil and Ovid, as I said, created works that are still read and studied today, so we still see them in Western literature. And their influence continues to shape how we tell heroic stories and just kind of how our entertainment looks today. A lot of it can be rooted back to these Roman epic poems, which is why I found it so interesting. So this is my final presentation for Humanities, and thank you for listening.